The greatest commandments is a central theme in Christianity and is derived from the teachings of Jesus Christ. The primary passage associated with this topic is found in the New Testament, specifically in the Gospel of Matthew, Matthew 22 verses 34 to 40, and the Gospel of Mark, Mark 12 verses 28 to 34. These passages recount an interaction between Jesus and a religious scholar who asked him about the greatest commandment. In Matthew 22 verses 37 to 40, New International Version, Jesus responds. Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." This teaching encapsulates the essence of Christian ethics and morality, providing believers with a clear framework for their relationship with God and with others. The first part of the greatest commandment emphasizes the importance of wholehearted love for God. It calls for a love that transcends mere superficial expressions, encompassing the entirety of one's being, heart, soul, and mind. This holistic devotion implies a deep and intimate connection with God, acknowledging His supreme authority and recognizing the significance of cultivating a personal relationship with Him. The second part of the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself, complements the first and underscores the interconnectedness of love for God and love for others. It draws from the Levitical command found in Leviticus 19 verse 18, where it is written, "Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." Loving one's neighbor is presented as an extension of one's love for God. It calls for a selfless and compassionate attitude toward others, mirroring the love that God has shown to humanity. This love is not contingent on the worthiness of the neighbor but is grounded in the recognition of their inherent value as fellow creations of God. The phrase, "all the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments," emphasizes the foundational nature of these principles in the Christian faith. It implies that the entire moral and ethical framework outlined in the Old Testament scriptures is encapsulated and fulfilled in the practice of these two great commandments. In essence, they serve as a comprehensive guide for righteous living. In the broader context of biblical theology, these commandments align with Jesus' teachings on the kingdom of God, emphasizing love, humility, and servanthood. The greatest commandments encapsulate the core values that should characterize the lives of believers, shaping their interactions with God and with the world around them. As such, they continue to serve as a timeless and foundational aspect of Christian ethics, guiding believers in their pursuit of a life that reflects the love and grace of God. Furthermore, the concept of the greatest commandments aligns with the teachings of Jesus found throughout the Gospels, highlighting the transformative power of love. In John 13 verses 34 to 35, NIV, Jesus gives a new commandment to His disciples. "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." This new commandment echoes the essence of the greatest commandments, emphasizing a self-sacrificial and unconditional love that mirrors the love of Christ. The connection between loving one another and being recognized as disciples of Jesus underscores the transformative impact of love on both individuals and communities. The Apostle Paul also expounds on the centrality of love in his writings. In 1 Corinthians 13, often referred to as the love chapter, Paul describes love as the greatest virtue. He asserts that even acts of great spiritual significance, such as prophecy, faith, and charitable deeds, are incomplete without love. This echoes the sentiment of the greatest commandments, emphasizing that love is the foundation upon which all other virtues and actions find their true significance. The practical implications of the greatest commandments are vast and far-reaching. They challenge believers to examine their motives, attitudes, and actions in light of love for God and others. Loving God with all one's heart, soul, and mind necessitates a life of worship, prayer, and spiritual devotion. Simultaneously, loving one's neighbor as oneself requires empathy, compassion, and a commitment to justice and mercy. The parable of the Good Samaritan, Luke 10 verses 25 to 37, provides a vivid illustration of the second commandment in action. In this parable, Jesus challenges the narrow definitions of neighbor by portraying a Samaritan, typically considered an outsider, as the one who shows compassion to a wounded man. The Samaritan's actions exemplify selfless love and break down cultural and societal barriers, emphasizing that everyone is a potential neighbor deserving of love and care. In summary, the biblical topic of the greatest commandments is a foundational aspect of Christian ethics, encapsulating the core principles of love for God and love for others. These commandments serve as a comprehensive guide for righteous living, shaping the attitudes and actions of believers. As Christians seek to follow the teachings of Jesus, the greatest commandments provide a transformative framework that not only impacts individual lives but also has the potential to influence communities and societies, reflecting the love and grace of God to a world in need.